Greetings, adventurers. Welcome to Miniature Legends, a place where even the smallest of figures can be legendary. Today, we return to the grim darkness of the Warhammer universe for a new project. Recently, I've been wanting to paint up a squad of Lychguard to match my Zunbakir centerpiece model that I finished last year. But I've a bone to pick with Lychguard. My problem is, the models are boring. In the lore, Lychguard are elite guards, veterans of millions of years of war, unfailingly loyal with their original personality and mind intact. They should have personalities, eccentricities, visually unique elements. Each group of Lychguard should feel like a group of elite characters. But they all look the same. I need to fix this if I want to paint them. So, what's my plan? Well, I'm going to craft, kitbash, and print up a group of customized Lychguard. 5 with their swords and shields, and 5 with their war scythes. Each one will have a visually distinct unit leader, who could easily stand in as a Necron Lord. With this plan in mind, I got to work. I got started by printing up some heads and other Necron-y bits for my modifications. I used a variety of free STLs on Thingiverse, so if you're curious or would like to print these for yourself, they're linked in the description below. Once I had those alchemically printed, I got to work modifying the Lychguard. Crafting a void scythe for the unit leader from a war scythe, and swapping the heads of one of the squads with the more unique ones that I've printed. I wanted to craft a unit leader for the hyperphase sword wielders as well, so I decided to mount the dispersion shield upon their back and have them dual wield blades. A bit silly, I know, but so is Warhammer. I drilled and pinned the shield in place with a drop of superglue. The offhand blade proved to be a bit of a challenge. The sculpted blade hands were all facing the wrong direction. However, I found a workaround. Clipping out a left hand from a war scythe and pinning it in as the grip of the blade, then using a drop of milliput to fill the gap. While the milliput was fresh, I also got to work crafting a few bases with my Necron texture roller, using the remaining putty and filling a few gaps in the miniatures. I also took the opportunity to break out some of my remaining air-dry clay, to create some more variable base heights. Once that had dried, I applied a thin layer of texture paste across the bases, trying to give the Necron script a more ancient, worn environment. I added a few finishing touches, such as crystals, scarabs, and the Lord's Regalia, and then they were ready to prime. I used a matte black primer through the airbrush and gave each mini a thorough coat. Moving on to the painting, I affixed the Lychguard using some poster putty and got to work establishing the base coats. Once those had dried, I applied a thin Nuln Oil wash and followed up with a thin Agrex Earthshade wash. I undercoated all the regalia and the heads with a cold white, then followed it up with a coat of Screaming Skull to give a warm, bone-like tone. Next, I applied a thinned mix of Skeleton Horde Contrast and Lamian Medium to sink into the crevices and create an old bone look. Then, I moved back to the metallic sections, applying a highlight of Lead Belcher and Brass Scorpion along the areas that would be most reflective to light. Finally, I applied a selective edge highlight of Stormhost Silk. Moving on to the weapons and shields, I gave them a thick highlight of dark gray, then followed it up with a thinner highlight of light gray, then followed that with a thinned down wash of Nuln Oil to glaze the two together. I wanted the weapons and shields to feel like they were brimming with energy, so I began by base coating the remaining areas with a dark Cantor blue. Then, applying highlights and layers of Teclis blue. Finally, applying a few bright thin coats of Temple Guard blue for the most energized sections of the models. Adding a thin coat of off-white blue to amplify the sense of glow. Returning to the bases, I dry brushed a few layers of dark blue and gray, adding some color to the crystal and the Necron script. Then edge highlighting the stones. For the weapons, I began by glazing thin layers of dark and light blue across the flat sections, building gradations of color. Then edge highlighting with a bright white to make it pop. As a final touch, I added some OSL glow to the crystal on this base. And they were ready for a matte finish. But first, if you watched this far, then I hope you have enjoyed the video. If you have, please let the YouTube imp know by pressing upon these buttons. It really helps. Now, let's take a look at these Lychguard. So, how do you think I did? Do they feel more like an elite squad? Have a bit more character to them? Please let me know with a comment down below. For now, if you want to see more of my work with miniatures, why not click on the video on the top left? Or if you're looking for my Warhammer content specifically, I have a playlist on the top right. I hope to see you again soon. Farewell, adventurers.